Peace and greetings, everyone. Thank you for tuning back in to this channel. And welcome back to Living Earth Transmissions. My name is Vili. Many of you know me as Wind. And I am sitting here under this gorgeous oak tree in the ancestral land of Bulbancha. Bulbancha is this beautiful stretch of green land between the Mississippi River and the ancient lake known as Oquata. And nowadays, the lake is known by the name Pontchartrain, if that gives you any clue to where I am in the modern sense. So yes, welcome back to everyone who's tuning in. It's a gorgeous day here in Bulbancha, and yes, by gorgeous day today I mean that it's cool and there's a bit of a breeze, a bit of clouds overhead. That can make for a really pleasant and enjoyable day in this kind of climate. I am tuning in today to give a life update, as well as just to talk a little bit about this theme. Like when it feels like everything is falling apart. That's the theme I want to dive into today. When it feels like everything is falling apart. And this video may bridge into another one. It may all be in the same video, but I'm also feeling called to discuss the deeper meaning of abundance and the experience of abundance, what that looks like, what it feels like, what it is. So I may start to get into that in this video, and then I may also make a separate video for that. So just stay tuned for that. This is all just to give a brief outline of what we'll be getting into today. So yes, this is, I think, just the third video that I've posted of this kind, where I'm just kind of speaking, channeling information, giving an update as to where I am in life at the moment. I have taken my time posting this video and giving a life update because this particular life chapter it's been a challenge. And as a dear friend of mine would say, challenges are opportunities for growth and expansion. So this has definitely been a very significant, abundant opportunity for growth and expansion. And I'm gonna go back and forth already with the themes, because I was getting into well, you are just fascinating. Show everybody. Are you shy? This critter, I don't know if you can see him or her. You can see them, but amazing little insect. Bright red legs. But yes, so reframing abundance, experiencing abundance in the midst of life feeling like it's falling apart, okay? So sometimes it's even reframing and saying, instead of like, oh wow, everything's really hard right now, right? Imagine the self-talk becoming more like, I'm being given so many opportunities to grow and expand right now. And then laughing about it, seriously, and giving it some energy, giving it some relaxing nourishing, vital energy. Instead of saying, oh, there's so many challenges right now, everything's really hard. Instead, looking at it like I'm being given so many opportunities to grow deeply and to expand and to increase my capacity and to grow in strength. All of that. So changing the way we talk to ourselves is the core of it all, is at the core of it all. You know, it's our experience begins within. Everything we're perceiving is happening within. So we have to start within. So this is leading into the life update and how it feels when it feels like things are falling apart sometimes. As many of you know, I was in the midst of traveling in my last couple videos, and I was traveling from where I had been living up in the Northeast in Mohawk Land, making the journey all the way down here to Bulbancha and beyond. And just when we were about to arrive in Bulbancha, I had a run-in with Johnny, the Fuzz, the slave catchers. Oh Lord. And we had an interaction, and in the midst of that interaction, I forgot that it's my internal experience and my internal world that ultimately dictates what happens on the outside. I forgot for a moment that that's how that works. So I was faced with this, kind of terrifying, aggressive in a way that can become lethal energy from the piggy pigs. No offense to actual pigs. And yeah, I let them win for a moment, and I let them win here. And I really felt like, oh, they have the power to harm me, which they don't. They have the power to end my existence, which they don't. But I gave them that power in that moment. I gave them the power for just a moment, and that moment was enough to drive me to act from a place of total fear. And what happens in a place of fear? We call it that fight or flight. And unfortunately, fight and flight is against the damn law in the modern day. So in this really twisted backwards way, they're almost challenging me. I can see it this way. They're giving me the opportunity to grow and expand in such a way that I do not act at all or ever from a place of fear. I'm not fighting. I'm not running away. I'm just kind of there being like, okay, this is the conversation we're having. This is what we're doing. I hope y'all are... I hope that we're following this. Because I do find it important sometimes. I see why poets speak the way we do. I see why it's important to speak in code. So we don't invoke certain energies, and we do invoke other energies that are more beneficial, more positive. So I'm being somewhat vague and using coded language for a reason. So I hope we're still following. So basically, to catch us up to the long story short, I had a run-in with Johnny 5-0, and that led to a whole bunch of other karma. That powerful act of giving over my sovereignty in that moment, and believing the illusion, believing the lie for a moment, led to many, many other nightmarish illusions. So yes, how would I like to say this? I went with them. I took a little ride with them. I took a little ride with them. And we went to a place where lots of people go on little rides with Johnny. Where we're all in one place, all of us having that similar experience can connect. We have the opportunity to connect and pour into each other in a contained space. I hope y'all are following this language. I really do. I was, in the grand scheme of things, I was not there very long. And yet, since I do feel so connected to timelessness, the length of time really doesn't matter. Because of the depth of the experience, the depth of the empathy of connecting with those who have it worse. There were parts of that experience that were very, very unpleasant, and parts that were profound. The level of spiritual teaching that can happen in a space like that is remarkable. So, upon leaving that place, the day I did the work, the inner work that I needed to do, completed the inner work that I needed to do to be able to open the portal out, okay? And the day that it finally came to pass that the allies and the beloved ones who were supporting me were able to officially, successfully move energy on the outside, that made my liberation all the hastier. The day all that happened and I walked out onto the open sky, I felt so many things. I expected to come out of that experience feeling very tranquil and aligned. And I actually ended up coming out with so much anger and so much pain. So there were many layers of the emotions that I was experiencing. And on top of all that, to be real, my dear and beloved friend and companion, my dog, Bagu, was very ill. When I saw him for the first many holistic things, many energetic things, many herbal things, many spiritual things, and also, some of the Western allopathic, more chemical approach. And basically this chapter was his time to die. So this is part of the update that I've been waiting to give because the wound was still too recent for me. It was still too raw. And I wasn't ready to share. So, yes, the pup that you might have seen, if you haven't met us physically in person, most of y'all who are watching at this point have, but if you haven't met us physically in person, the pup that y'all might have seen with me in previous videos is no longer with me physically. Of course, he continues to be with me spiritually, energetically, in memory. The grief is to such a level that I'm consciously telling myself to almost say less about it, because I really could I could fill an hour, 2 hours speaking about the form, the shape, the magnitude of grief that comes from an experience like this. From a loss that feels tragic, from a loss that feels untimely for what I was expecting, for the timeline that I was attached to. And all of these experiences have had their own opportunities for growth and expansion. And yes, the power of the grief has ripened me, has matured me in a way that it really gave me this scar that will always remind me not to be too attached to a given timeline, a given outcome. There really are these forces in the multiverse that we interact with that are of an incredible amount of power and knowledge and wisdom. And death is one of those forces. It's still part of the all. We're aware of this. Everything is one. And yet when we're in this perspective that we're having now, this experience that we're having now, death is definitely one of those beings who she's going to do what she's going to do. But knowing and realizing deeply that that's not the end, that's not where this ends. And I know, right? And I know this. But now we're really experiencing it and feeling it. But that's not the end. That is not the end. And it's not just because I don't want it to be the end. And I don't. But it isn't. It isn't, and it's never the end. Nothing is ever the end. Nothing is ever the end. Nothing that has ever been spoken has gone unheard. Right? Every vibration that ripples out infinitely. So everything that has ever happened, every occurrence, it's touching everything. It's affecting everything. It's rippling out eternally. So the life that Bagu lived, he is still living, right? That life is continuing to touch the world. Continuing to... I'll have a memory, and that memory fills me with a vibration. That vibration resonates out to the people around me, to the beings around me, the plants and the elements. So life goes on. Life goes on. Literally, energetically, vibrationally, physically goes on. There are flowers growing where his body is integrating with the earth itself. That's what's happening. That's physically, he is physically living on. So, it's amazing the power of love, and the power of unconditional love, and the wisdom, the knowing that comes through when there's love there. There's so much that comes through because there's love there. So having this knowing, when we collectively as a human species, collective, know that everything ripples out into the multiverse eternally. And we know that nothing truly ends. We start to get tapped into the ancient roots of true abundance. And it can become this antidote for that feeling of hopelessness when it seems like life is falling apart. So is your life falling apart, or do you feel like it's falling apart? That's a distinction to make. Is your life falling apart, or do you feel like it's falling apart? Because if you feel like it's falling apart, because here's the ultimate truth is this. The ultimate truth is this. Even if your life physically fell apart, your house fell apart, your car fell to pieces, your body fell to pieces, whatever you identify as your physical life, your family, whatever you identify as your physical life that you attach to, physically falls to pieces. Even then, to think, oh, I'm done for, isn't true, right? Because we continue to live, we continue to be part of the world around us. Our consciousness continues to be consciousness. All of it continues to be. Our body continues to be a body. Our breath continues to be breath. The water within us continues to be water. So we continue to be. So knowing that deeply, experiencing that deeply, well, we then have this feeling that it's like, okay, my life isn't falling apart. I feel like my life's falling apart. So how do I change the feeling? How can I experience this so that I feel differently? How do I experience this so that I feel, wow, life is giving me an abundant opportunity for growth and expansion. I'm receiving that. That's what I'm receiving. I'm receiving abundance. You're always receiving abundance. We're always receiving abundance. What form does your abundance take? Do you think it's supposed to look like this? But your abundance actually looks like this. And you have so much of this, but you're like, oh, it's not this. This is the only thing that's going to make me happy. So then you feel like you're not abundant. But in reality, you are. You are. And everyone really is. And I don't think I've actually met someone who has nothing. Because even if you physically don't own anything, that is its own form of abundance. Now you have an abundance of mental space to think about other things besides the stuff you own. Even if that's all you have. Even, if you're trapped in a concrete box, okay, you have an abundance of opportunity to rest. And it's rewiring. We're rewiring the brain. We're rewiring how we see all of it. And the universe, this is a hard one for people, but this is important on the spiritual journey to realize that the universe, and I'm going to word this as universally as I can, for people of all paths to absorb. The universe is not specifically a moral force for good in the way that we would like it to be. Okay, it's more of a neutral echo. It's more of a neutral sounding board. The universe reflects what we resonate, right? What consciousness resonates, the vibration that consciousness sets. So if you tell the universe, oh, I'm not abundant, I don't have this, I don't have that, the universe is just going to echo back the tone and the frequency that you are setting. So if you say, I don't have it, the universe is going to be like, you don't have it, you don't have it. And if you're like, I have everything, the universe is going to say, you have everything, you have everything. And it will affirm that, and it will take that form. So the incredible process of creation, essentially, is a continual, it can be seen as a continual process. We are in our perspective of time, we are in a certain, we often find ourselves in a certain gridlock of dimensions that makes time look a certain way. Okay, but there are dimensions of experience where time does not quite look so concrete. It doesn't look so obviously linear. It doesn't look so, it doesn't look like the grandfather of all things. So when we get outside of that, and we experience what it feels like to be outside of that, then there are truths that come through. And there are truths that we resonate with that are then reflected back to us by the multiverse outside of us. multiverse that appears to be outside of us. Appreciate y'all for tuning into this moment with me, with us. Sometimes the words come through purely as a channel. And when they leave, they leave. And then I'm like, well, that's all I got to say. I'm grateful for the reflections that y'all give, even through the ether. I feel you, and if you feel that I'm saying something for you, it's because I am. I'm feeling you through this time-space and reflecting with you. Send the peace of this moment through the ether, through the screen, through the light that is reflected here, through the internet. The peace of this moment. The peace of this gorgeous, gorgeous oak tree. And we can't forget our sister, Magnolia. Oh, if we can get the camera angle on her. Okay, there's a magnolia back there as well. Until next time.